Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. So one of the really cool things about putting out ideas in this game and talking about them on YouTube is many of you may not know, but for me, it is a learning experience. When I put out a video and talk about something from my perspective, I usually try my best to come back and look through the comment section. That's very important for me because that's the way that I can learn. Now, I'll give you guys one example of how you guys were mostly right, because there were some things that, I made a video about. I talked about legendary missions. I said, I feel tanks do play an important role in legendary missions, but some of you said, well, in the way we run legendary missions, we don't even bother using a tank. A crowd control build is actually a better way to go. And I took all those considerations and I said, that's actually quite interesting. Then I did some research and I saw that there were other teams on YouTube using that. And I even showed you guys in my follow-up video. But one thing that I hadn't done was actually test it out for my own self. So I said, you know what, let me go into a legendary mission. I'll take my tank builds, my, skill damage build and my regular M1A damage build and see what happens. I can switch back and forth. Well, behold, as I hit matchmaking, it's somebody that is an audience member here on this channel. And because they'd been listening to those conversations, they went ahead and built a CC build with blind. And they said, yo, I'm trying out this CC build. I don't know what it's going to, look like. I said, well, go ahead and slap it on. Let's see what happens. We got two other people in the team. We had one for DPS. I said, I'm going to play tank before we get a fourth person. Because, with three people, the dynamics is slightly easier. And then when we got the fourth person, apparently he was also a crowd control guy. So we had two crowd control guys, one tank and one DPS. But I have to tell you something. I, in my opinion, did not really think too much on how efficient using the crowd control, especially the blind, was. And when these enemy NPCs stayed blind, they were literally blind for a good amount of time. It really stunted their movement, their strategy, and we were able to burst them down, take them down, knock them down, whatever it is that we wanted to do. And you guys were absolutely onto something when you were telling me that, yo, this is exactly how it's done. And I think the disconnect for me was I beat those legendary missions, I think, the very second week or so that the Warlords of New York was out. I think I got to level 40 the very next day, and I was straight up jumping into the legendary missions. At that point, a lot of the community was still figuring things out, and then we had the big dirty ban. And at that point, I didn't get to play anymore. So over that time, I think everybody in the community had been honing down efficient ways and effective ways to actually beat these missions. And I was just not in the loop because I already got my outfit. And I was like, I'm not going to farm the bullhorn because you guys told me the bullhorn was not worth it. I made a video saying, is the bullhorn worth it? You guys were like, nope. I mean, get it for, the wall, but it's not going to do anything for you in combat. So that was one of my deterring factors to not play the legendaries anymore. And so we played this legendary mission and we beat the legendary mission. We wiped at the boss, but that was basically, we get like a checkpoint there. And it was really interesting. I even at one point swapped to my, damage build with my artillery turret. And then at the end of the boss, when we wiped the first time, I just went ahead and took my M1A build and put it to work. And it was a very, very smooth run. It took a little bit long, probably, somewhere around the hour or something like that. But, we were not using mics. We were just using the game chat, making jokes, talking. People were going to get a drink. Hey, I'll be right back. Hold up. It was very casual, but it was very effective and it worked very well. This is very, very important. And this was very interesting in regard to how this all went. So that's one of the really interesting things about this community is, even as a content creator, I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. I mean, I think that's probably clear for a lot of you that have been on this channel for a long time. You guys already know that. In fact, you guys even give me tips, pointers. Some of you even send me build ideas. If I get around to them, I share them. Sometimes somebody else will make a video about it. So if you haven't seen the build ideas you sent me being shown on the video, it's because somebody else on another channel has probably made it or made something similar. So I didn't feel like we should kind of throw more of the same thing out there because largely most of the builds are very similar. I mean, there's very little variation right now that we can do because we've already shared a lot of our ideas out there. And that's not saying that, we can't show anything new, but something about the division is after a few months, people basically know the general, meta where things stand regarding how they want to build. But the second aspect of this conversation is, we know that the M1A nerf that was implemented and then reverted was not supposed to come at the time that it came. And we know that enemy NPCs are going to be getting a tweak. And we do know that the M1A nerf was actually something that was going to be part of the entire weapon balancing and, weapon reorganization that will be going on in supposedly TU 9 or 10 or 9.1 or TU 10. But what's going to happen when, this M1A is gone? There are many alternatives as well that actually do the job. And if these things are going to be tweaked a little bit, then I think we're probably going to see even a higher importance placed on things like crowd control down the road. Yes, if the M1A gets nerfed, I don't think it's the end of the world, especially if enemy NPCs get some nerfs as well. I think they should check themselves out. I mean, the last state of the game, these were some of the things that were discussed, that enemy NPCs were going to be seeing some tuning. I don't know about Legendary. Legendary might stay the way it is, but largely if you have those crowd control type builds, those skill builds that can do some really good damage and ways to be able to complete, those games, I think with Legendary missions, people should be fine. We'll probably be able to, beat them regularly. But then when we get into the raid, that will probably be a whole different ball game. Because when I looked at the so-called data mine stuff from the raid, I saw like a pattern. To me, it seemed like hazard protection was going to be taking center stage. I don't know why. I don't know how you can, reconcile that hazard protection will be necessary. Maybe the DPS player would run secondary hazard protection sources to perhaps keep them slightly, alive or surviving longer. This might be a trend that we see in the build patterns of people who want to go complete this new raid. And yes, you're going to need the damage, you're going to need the crowd control. That's always really nice. But another thing too is crowd control is also very iffy. So let me just, put this in perspective. So if you look at our legendary missions, they're perfect for that crowd control type of build. I mean, like you can literally sit there and you can crowd control some places. You can just crowd control an entire room or a hallway or, some kind of a corner in the room. But we don't know how this foundry is going to be built. We don't know how the level design is going to be. So what's going to happen is we're going to be going and we're going to be learning as to how we're going to reorganize our builds, which I think is some level of excitement worthy in the entire, scheme of things. So it's really interesting, like I said, and the main video is just to kind of highlight how important conversations do help us as players, content creators, and community members around the game. Because yes, many of us might be kind of tired on the game and all that. Even I took a week break. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw my community post. I said I was already down one controller. I was playing Mortal Kombat 11 and I wasn't too happy. So that PlayStation 4 controller was sacrificed to the floor. And so that's what I was doing while I was on my break from the division. And so, sometimes we get ourselves in situations where you get a little heated and a controller goes, well, goodbye, go get yourself another one. So I'll try my best to not be so silly and naughty. I'll be a good boy. I'm hitting myself in the hand just to say, okay, I'm going to try to, calculate better before determining how I want to place my controllers whenever Mortal Kombat 11 doesn't make me so happy. But like I said, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. Let's talk about how we beat some of the more critical missions and more difficult missions in this game. You don't know who you'll be helping when you're typing out a comment, and you might be helping a player that you probably will never meet in the game. Isn't that crazy? That you help somebody that you probably never even match make with, because they'll probably be on a different platform, but they'll take your advice, they'll take your suggestions, and they'll use it, and they'll be successful in using it. So that's basically my deal. I guess that's it from me. I'll talk to you guys soon. Like I said, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you're new here, you can hit the subscribe button. We talk about the division and we talk about different aspects of the game, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.